We are now live on YouTube. Everybody, welcome to the Chef's Table. This is where I, Chef Katrina, interview entrepreneurs from all walks of life, working with them, teaching them, training with them, having them reveal their most intimate secrets about their specialty. So I'm super excited to have our special guest. This is Hilary De Freitas. She is a social media expert. She is an international social media expert. So that, what does that mean is that she currently lives in Trinidad. And so a lot of her clients are from around the world. And what I love about Hilary is that, you know, she started off as a businesswoman. And then when she said, hey, I want to become a stay-at-home mom, she looked at ways to do that. And one of the things that she took on and we found is that her specialty is somebody who likes lists and columns, which makes her the perfect person you should hire for your social media. Hilary's expertise runs inside of both content management, social media management. She is well versed in that. She built her own agency, holy cow, from her home. She is an incredible mother to 3, a beautiful wife, and has an amazing husband. So I couldn't be more excited to sit here and pick your brain here at the Chef's Table. So thank you for joining me this afternoon and jumping on here at the Chef's Table. Hilary, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. My goodness, that was like the introduction from I'm amazing, and I apologize for the sore throat. Between Friday and this Monday, it's like my voice totally disappeared, but I'm working with it. We've got one little one at home, and thanks to content management and content development in the year 2020, I'm on YouTube, and so is she. So if you didn't catch that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I love it too. So Tom's jumping on with us here live on YouTube, and I know we've got quite a few people that come and jump in and watch us at the Chef's Table. You know, one of the interesting things is I always start off with the questions like, what had you become an entrepreneur? Like, what led to you wanting to like leave a 9-to-5, job that was secure and money was coming in? Like, what would make you do something as crazy as become an entrepreneur?
Well, I mean, there are many, many factors, but I think what drove me, what was the final push was my family, in terms of my family started growing. And I had a very lovely, and one of the things that I realized after returning to Trinidad was that money didn't matter. And that started to play a role in my head because I left one job going to another with a pay decrease, but they had better benefits when it came to managing a family. All right. So already I started this mindset of family matters a little more than the paycheck. And then when number 1 was along, I really started thinking, I looked around at my office and I still saw a lot of people having to hide to go and pick up kids, take them to football practice, whatever the case may be. And I said to myself, I'm not going through that. I'm just not. And I literally decided that when I come back from maternity, I was not coming back from maternity leave. That was my decision. Went on maternity leave. 3 months later, I did come back because I did put everything in place. When you make that decision, but you don't put everything in place. So I made the decision. And then a year later, that's when, I started like right here on YouTube. I'm sure you could find a video of me with my firstborn as a baby on my lap, right? And the reality is I started doing the content that would be required for me to be able to say, I can leave now. The business is starting to pick up. All right. So a year later, that's what happened.
So you said, hey, I'm going to do this. So you made the decision that you didn't want to come back from maternity leave. And yet you did come back. You're back in the office again, right? Yeah. And I know that at that time period, now we're talking a few years ago, you went online and you started, crazy woman video. Are you serious? Like the number one fear everyone has is public speaking, and video puts you out there. Like what would have you want to, and especially on YouTube? I mean, it's publicly searched. There probably is going to find a video. I mean, you just told everyone to go find a video of it. So, they're going to now be curious to go stalk you down on YouTube. Like what would have you go to that platform?
Well, YouTube is searchable. All right. And I mean, exactly as you said there, video is, and in the digital space, one of the things that I remember hearing when I really went full time as an entrepreneur is that you need to have referrals. You need to have people coming to you. It's like leads, right? In digital marketing, we call it leads, but basically, from an offline perspective, you're talking about you need referrals. You need people constantly coming to you, calling you, whatever the case may be. And the best way to do that without having to be knocking on everybody's door, sitting down, talking to everybody, is having a face to face conversation with them in the form of a video. I can have a conversation with millions of people right here on YouTube, sharing content with them, sharing ideas, answering questions that they have. And then they'd be like, you know what? I want to learn more. So then they follow you. And that is like, as I hated video, I hated the sound of my voice. And it's funny because now I only do video, and it's once I've done video, then I go to the written word. Whereas when I started off, I was just writing and writing and writing, and I did not want to be seen on video. But then it hit me. It's like, nobody knows who you are. Your text is the same as Chef's text. It's the same as any other entrepreneur out there. But your voice, your face, your accent, your kids running in, that's you. And people are going to relate with you.
I love that. So, you talked about, going onto YouTube and getting like, when you joined as an entrepreneur, did you go and research? Like, did you buy any education? Did you get any training? I mean, was that even a thought, or did you just try to wing it all on your own?
Well, I would say, I think I was guided to the education very quickly. And it made sense to me because, there she is knocking. But it made sense to me because when I started my other career as an engineer, I had said, I want to be an engineer and work for NASA. I didn't know at the time that, only US citizens, that was one caveat, right? But for me to be an engineer, I had to get an engineering degree. So I went and studied and I got so that I could get that job. So that same process of thinking was in my mind where I'm not a business person. I want to be an entrepreneur. I need to get the education. And I knew I would have to invest somewhere. And so I was very quickly, I didn't spend a lot of time searching. Let's put it that way. I was recommended to certain platforms, certain systems, and I analyzed. It was actually three. I looked at all three and I picked one and I just dove in because to me, they all looked as if they offered the same thing. It's kind of like when you're trying to find an industrial engineering degree, Yale, Princeton, they all offer the same education. It's just a matter of where you feel most comfortable. Right. And that's what I did. I jumped in, I invested, and very quickly within 6 months, I said, the only way I'm going to move faster is if I level up my education. Free could only get you so far. And then you've got to level up your education.
Yeah, you do. If you're not investing in events and people and courses and mentorship, right? Like, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
It's just a simple fact. And all of us entrepreneurs, I think one of the interesting things, at least for me, is like, I've always known that to get up, you have to move where people are, right? You have to go and find mentors that have done what you want to do and go work for them. Like, if they've got a course, go buy it. Right.
And implement. And that was another thing that, I don't know if you had this entrepreneur on before, but he actually said something that I'd always remember, especially when it comes to investments in business. If you're not going to implement and use it within a month's time, pause on that investment. All right. Because it's important for you to implement. It's not just about the education. That was the difference between being an engineer in school. You spend 4 years in school learning to be an engineer, but it takes that 4 years before you could ever start implementing. Entrepreneurship is great, where you could buy a course today and start implementing tomorrow to see the results in 90 days. All right. So definitely, I always took that advice. And, even to today, when I look at something, I'm like, am I going to use it now? No.
Yeah, because there is a process to learn, right? Every time, and I always say that every time you get a new piece of software, a new piece of education, if you really are going to take the value out of it, it's going to take something to implement.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. Because it's going to be learning a new technology. It's, right. Like right now I'm building out a new website. Man, that takes a whole nother brain skill again, right? It's different than just interviewing inside of this process. So you really have to look at what is your time worth? Is it worth the value to you, or is it something you can outsource?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's been one of the big things I remember hearing early on. It's like, if you have an opportunity to outsource. Right.
And that took me almost 4 years to figure out. And it was through another mentor that and as I say mentors, I've had different mentors for different purposes. One in particular was one for moms. How do you build a business as a mom? Right? Because you have to realize, okay, today, for example, the little one is home. What can I do in 2 hours? In 2 hours today, I scheduled social media, wrote a blog post, created the images for the blog post, and sent out an email. Now, you would not have known that if you hadn't had that systemized and literally somebody helping you go through that and you practicing it over and over so that you know now, what can I do in an hour, in 2 hours, those type of things, I've given away too many secrets there.
Sorry, you're good. We're good. So, but I do have a question that ties into that, right? So you're a social media manager and you manage, some for top companies. You've consulted for some top companies out there. How important is it that they have a content strategy for you to even be able to do your job?
Without content, there's nothing that, we could do. Very little. Because when I say there's very little. You could still have a social presence using other people's content, and that's perfectly fine. But for businesses, you want people to know, like, and trust you, not know, like, and trust CNN, know, like, and trust Business Insider, all of these other, You want people to know, like, and trust you, and the only way they can do that is from your content. And that's what I tell, and I've had clients that are like, they're masters at just pushing content out there, right? And then there are others who are like, okay, you're pulling teeth to get a blog post a month. That's like, come on. Far less get them to do a live video. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
So your content and having a content plan, I think sometimes that's a challenge that clients have, is that they don't have the plan ahead. I mean, that everything is systemized, our world is a lovely world, we've got 12 months. Pick a topic. I mean, I'm sure there are 12 topics of your business that you could assign to each month and start there, right? But content and having that content map and the plan, how it's going to feed into your sales funnels and all that stuff, that's important, because without that, there's very little the social media manager could do to have the results of a business, which is sales at the end of the day.
Yeah. So when you talk content, right, do you mean content in like a website? Is it important to have a website? Why? I mean, I'm serious, because, I was watching Neil Patel, right? And he said there's something like 1 billion blogs on the internet. So why would I even bother? There's already the content out there. What am I going to add to the platform that isn't already there?
Well, it's not so much about the adding to the platform, but it's more about your business and your hub, right? Because I always say, even though Facebook's been around for a really long time, if all of your, like, say they used to let you do notes. I don't know if that's a part of it anymore, but a lot of people started blogging that way, right? And they were blogging through notes on Facebook. Now, okay, Facebook's still around today, but what happens when it's not? All your blogs disappear, all your videos disappear, or when they decided, you know what, you've done too many videos, we're not hosting anymore. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
All your videos disappear. So your website is your business hub. It's kind of like your storefront, right? You have to think of it that way. Your blog, your website, that's your storefront. Sorry. Oops. And you have to own that. And once you own that, then that becomes your hub. A lot of people look at social media as their hub. Your blog, think of it like in that little circle, your blog is a hub that sends content outside and brings people back to you. It's like Little bubble with spider legs coming back
Yeah,
down.
it really does. It sends people because it allows you to send content out and it allows people to find that content and then come back into
To
you,
you.
right? Now, I know we had an earlier conversation this week. We talked about closed and open social media, right? So when you look at like something like Facebook, Facebook is definitely a closed, right? Every video that you put in there, every, blog post you put in there, every, anything you post in there pretty much is closed, right? There's no one's, oh, you can't even search it. You can search people. You
You can
can,
search people, but you can't search the content, and that's very important. Yeah.
right? So if you can search people, that's great, but you got to know who they are is to know to find them, right?
Yeah.
But when you talk about content actually it is king, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen some definite like, well, content isn't king. Well, it is, and you've got to learn how to put it up there,
Yeah.
right? You have to learn to have a voice. Otherwise you're, no one finds you. And I truly believe in totally open. And for those that are watching or watching the replay, you might disagree, but if you don't have a website, most people now don't know if you're actually a real business.
Exactly, because it's really difficult to, and even local, right? So when you talk about local business, small entrepreneurs, sometimes they're afraid to make that investment. Like our simple example, the coaches for my daughter's cheerleading team, all right, they have grasped that concept that nobody's going to take them seriously if they don't have a website. So they can't afford the domain right now, but they went and they created a Wix website. It's still there, right? And they still understand, they have presence of mind that I must have an online presence that's outside of Facebook, outside of Twitter, outside of Instagram. Now they have all of those accounts. They've claimed all those accounts, but they also started that process of owning their own real estate, right? So that's where they're, and it's simple, right? So not everybody thinks that, well, you know what? I'm just gonna do all my stuff on social media. You're cutting yourself short. You're cutting yourself.
Yeah. So I have a quick question, right? So I got a message the other day from a good friend of mine and a former student. And the message said, "Oh my God, what is wrong with your blog?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, I can't believe you actually have this up. And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, your front facing homepage is just a bunch of blog posts. And I said, "Yep. Yes, it is."
Yeah.
And they're like, but how do you, and I said, and I still generate leads and sales.
Because people are connecting to the content.
So how important is it that your site looks pretty?
Well, and that's the thing, that's a misconception, right? Your site is going to look pretty, and it needs to look pretty once you're making $1 million. That's the way I see it. Like, that thing, when do you need a lawyer in business? When you start making money. Okay. Yeah. But people are not coming to your site for the colors, for it looking nice, everything laid out. Most times they're finding your website because you're not, again, Amazon, eBay, or any of these big authority sites. You're not an authority site. So most times when people come to your site, they're coming to your site because of a blog post, a piece of content that has been shared and they found, they're coming there, and then they're going to click around. But your home landing page, let it be your content, because you want people to see what you know. You don't want them disappearing. What if your images on your beautiful homepage take too long to load? They're gone and they never even read a piece of content.
Good point. Like, seriously, because I was like, oh, you don't have a homepage. It's like, but my homepage is my blog. Because what I do is I write content. I'm not here to look pretty. I'm here to provide value, content, education, training. And, looking back over the years, that's what's made me the most money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. It's not been how my business, trust me, my blog has gone through some growing periods. Right. It's not so much how the blog looks. It's about what kind of content I'm providing. And I truly believe that, because, everybody gets hung up on how it looks. Everybody thinks that they have to have the perfect website before they can invite anybody to look at it. Everything has to be, man, Hilary, I think you and I blogged way back in the beginning. Way back.
Way back.
You know, our websites even back then were pretty basic. There was nothing. I mean, we just want to know we wanted a header banner on there, right?
Yeah.
We wanted header banners with at least our logo. That was it. Our name, whatever.
Name and the call to action at the side, your call to actions, whatever products or services. A widget, yes.
We had a widget opt-in. It said, here's the information, put in your email address, right? This home page with like this moving something and entering your email address to get this and blah, blah, blah. Dude, that stuff came so much later.
And you know what is also interesting about the page is that even if you look at like as we're talking about this, like Amazon, even if you go to Amazon's homepage, now they don't have their content is in a different format, but they're going for the sale one time. Okay. When you would go there, you're not seeing a whole set of pretty stuff. You're seeing offers one time. So that should signal to you that if I'm in business, what people need to be seeing are things that will lead them to offers. All right. For entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, and small businesses, you've got to have content for people to understand that you know what you're talking about, and you've got to have the opt-in right there. All right?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, people, I laugh, and Jeff makes a good point. I'm going to talk to this one real quick. He goes, you know, I'm better to produce a blog content than share to social media. Normally I produce YouTube content and then create a blog around it. You can do that one. Actually, that was my preferred way of doing it, Jeff. And because so Hilary is probably can attest to this now. I speak faster than I can write. So sometimes it's easier to recap what I just said than try to actually say what I'm trying to say. Because I can't, my grammar, you guys probably know, is not the best thing in the world. Right. Yeah. So, you know, not proper grammar. You don't have to be grammar perfect. You know, sometimes you're going to have mistakes. It shows you're human. And those that are the grammar aficionados, I have a good friend. He said, please don't call me a grammar Nazi. He says, I'm a grammar aficionado. And I said, that's perfect. I will continue using that phrase from this point forward. Right. You know, they may have something to say, but there are billions of us out in the world. Right. There are times in my emails or even on my Facebook posts, I'm like, dang.
And it's like sometimes on the Facebook post, it's just like you see it and you're like, oh crap. You can go and edit it later, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
I've done that.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the things that I think is really interesting that you mentioned too is that, you know, I hear a lot of people talk about the importance of paid advertising in order to generate leads. Like really, you can't get leads nowadays unless you're running ads. Now I'm going to totally like rip this one out of the water. Cause you know, if your blog is done correctly and you have an opt-in to an offer, you should be generating a lead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that wrong?
You should be generating leads. And the thing is, you don't have to advertise to generate leads or even sales. All right. Once you're providing the right content and your funnel is there, okay. As affiliate marketers, I mean, we generate leads and sales almost every day, right? Because you've provided the content and the opt-in right there. I personally have not advertised in, don't want to lie, but about 2 years, maybe off and on. But when people talk about you don't need, where you need advertising, fallacy, okay? You need advertising to keep in front of people constantly on closed social networks, okay? But once you have your content out there, keyworded correctly, SEO'd correctly, Google does the rest for you.
Yeah, they do. I mean, most of the sites will do the heavy lifting for you. And what it's still interesting is I was on a social media training, right, for SEO, and they still say that, you know, Google and all these search engines, they still need fresh new content, right? Because content does get outdated year by year, right? Everything, platforms update, things update. So they're still looking for that fresh new content. Mm-hmm. And so it is important for us to continue putting content up. It is important for us to continue providing education, training, services, business products, because people are still looking for them.
For it. One thing that, as you say, Google's always looking for new content. I've followed a couple of social media, like websites. And no, I don't know what they're doing on the back end, but literally every year you see a similar post from the previous year. And all they're doing is taking the old one, updating and adding some new research and putting it out. So you already have a base of content if you've been blogging for a while that you can literally just go back and say, let me update this, right? And I don't know if that, even if you just do it on the same blog post, you put a new republished date, it's new content as far as Google is concerned, correct?
Yeah, it is. And so that's the funny thing. That's the one thing I thought was really interesting when I was starting to watch some of these SEO guys and listen to them and ask questions. They actually said if you have content that's old that's no longer serving you, get rid of it. Right. But that's for someone that's been blogging like I have for like 7-8 years now. Like I have old content. If it's not serving, it would make sense for me to remove it. Right. But through Google Analytics, I can also search and see which one of my best and top performing pages. Those might be the ones I want to go in and maybe refresh.
Yep.
And give them a little more love or update the content, make sure they're more accurate, right? Because prices change, things change with different companies that I've been associated with. So going back in to that content, which you just reminded me, it might just go in and just refresh it.
Yeah.
And then once you, because every time you hit that publish button, that's what most people don't. So big secret, you guys that are watching, for my bloggers out there. Every time you update a piece of content and you hit publish again or republish, it sends another signal to Google to come back and research your content. So it does make sense to refresh and update your content as needed.
Yep.
Really, it does. So that's one of our big, like I would say, secrets inside of here. Hilary, now if people wanted to connect with you and, you know, learn from you or figure out how to work closer with you, or do you have anything that you would, you know, recommend or offer to our viewers and watchers? I know our time is a little shorter today because you have to head out being a mom. So where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Well, definitely follow me on my website. It's hillarydefreitas.com.
Okay.
If you want to have a chat with me, it's hillarydefreitas.com/strategy. But basically, you can get all the information there. What I do is, if you do an opt-in, you get a free social media audit, because I like to start there as a social media manager. Most of the time, you're gonna get a free social audit for me to assess, you know, where your social media stands, what you need to do, and what strategy we need to follow there. So definitely. And if I could put it in the chat.
Yeah, so we'll give it to me also, and I'll make sure it's in the description here on the YouTube channel. And then also for those of you that catch up here on my blog, it'll be down below also, so you guys can connect with her. But, you know, if you're looking for, you know, should I be using a social media manager, I would still schedule that call with Hilary. Definitely follow her on her blog. She's doing some incredible content right now. And I know that, you know, there's a lot going on in her world. And the fact that she's doing this while she's taking care of 3 adorable children is pretty amazing. So I have like mad kudos. So really excited when she said yes to being here at the chef's table, because I know that how valuable your time is. I know how busy you are. And the fact that you just took, you know, 30 minutes out of your day to really share with everybody here and those that are watching the replay what it really means to be, you know, blogging, content creation. It's just a huge piece of the puzzle. Yes, and you know, you gave away some huge nuggets of information. I hope you guys caught them. Everything from like time management, topic creation for the month, really creating more of a strategy for what your overall intent is, and then looking at how are you capturing those leads, how are you capturing those sales, what do you want to be an affiliate for. So I just kind of recapped a little bit of what Hilary just shared with you guys in this 30 minute 29 minutes and 30 seconds type of a training. So she packed it all in and even shared with you what it looked like to join this journey, right? Because there were some decisions that had to be made, and there's definitely ups and downs in the journey of being an entrepreneur. It's not all roses and pretty sunshine. And I look forward really, Hilary, to having you back on here. Thank you again. Is there any last, you know, words, you know, ideas, recommendations for those that are watching?
You know, as an entrepreneur, action is something that got stuck in my head, and I want to share with everybody here. This topic we started with, you know, why I became an entrepreneur, ended up with blogging and social media. I want to say that the one piece that always propelled me is just taking action. So whatever you're doing today, take one action and then tomorrow take another, and so on and so forth. All right. Have a great one, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thanks again for joining us here at the Chef Table. We'll see you guys next week for a amazing email marketer training that you guys are going to absolutely love. With that, thank you again, Hilary. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.